Hey everybody! Welcome to 7 Days to Die console version. PlayStation 4 Pro in 2023. So this is a game that I played for a while before. One of my coworkers told me about it. And then right after he was talking about it, sorry, I'm trying to fix my headphones. Won't stay out. There we go. Right after he told me about it, the game went on a very deep sale. So I got this for like $3, which is, I mean, that's just like ridiculously cheap for a game, especially a game that promises this much content. Now, whether it's worth it still, even at that price, is still kind of questionable. Now, I would say I got my money's worth. I do enjoy this game, but it's a frustrating experience because it is a pretty broken game. Actually, I have something that I'm supposed to be doing right now, so let me try to get to that. What is your problem, sir? We overheated? So, I guess let's give this game a fair introduction, just in case anybody's not aware. What is 7 Days to Die? It's a survival online, if you desire. You can play offline, I suppose. Or, actually, I'm not sure if you can play offline, but you can play by yourself, certainly. Sorry, I got stuck kind of wondering that to myself. I'm not exactly sure if you can play without connecting to a server, but you can certainly play completely offline. You can also play where strangers can join your game randomly and can affect gameplay, although they may spawn completely, totally just away from you, so you may never even see them, and you may not even notice that they join your game. um, you can have friends join your game, although again they would have to kind of find you. That's usually easier with some kind of communication. Yeah, so you survive, you build, you gather resources, but I guess the gimmick is that it's in a zombie world, and every 7 days, according to the standard settings, anyway, you can change that. You get attacked by a big horde of zombies. So, yeah, just if you can look at the center of the screen above right under my compass, actually, it says day 128. So every multiple of 7, you will have to face off against a horde of zombies. That will zero in wherever you are. So you don't necessarily have to stay where you spawn at the beginning of your game, although I did because I didn't understand the game and I just ended up doing that. This is my map. So I spawned, right around here. And I just have not really moved my base since then. I could. But, well, I guess we'll get to whether there's any incentive to do that or anything else in the game. So what is there to do? Well, you can gather all sorts of different kinds of resources. So sometimes you may have to actually go pretty far to get something specific, or you may have to devote a lot of time to doing that, such as digging, or just spending the time building or crafting the items, because, like you get wood, you have to craft that into wooden blocks that you use to build, stuff like that. So everything is kind of a payoff of time. And of course the clock is ever moving. What was I getting? Oh, money. Get rid of some of this crap. As you can see, storage is a big story in the game, and that is probably not necessarily for the best. Obviously on PC, every part of the interface is improved, but we would have to talk about the PC version separately because it is a separate game. It is a very different game. The console version has not been updated for a long time. I guess let's just take everything. Okay. So this is essentially a much older build of the game. I'm not sure. I guess at some point it must have matched up to some version of the PC game, near identically. But having played a few hours on the PC, since that version went on sale, got that for $5. I can tell you that the PC version of this game feels almost like a sequel in terms of how much better it is. Now it's also got its issues and jank and everything, but it's much better. So, I mean, you can see for yourself, this is running on a PS4 Pro. The draw distance is pretty limited, although you can see, obviously, the far background. But, you're about to see a fair amount of, like trees popping up. So it is what it is. You're not in for a AAA experience by far, not even a, B-tier experience, you could say. But I guess you could say the trade-off is in the breadth of the game, if you want to say. It's a huge map. There's actually another map. If you buy the full version, it's getting a little hazy because I actually bought this a while ago. But this is the base map, so it's already pretty big. I believe some stuff in it can be randomized, like quests, but I think like merchants are always pretty much in the same place. And then the other map is larger with options to randomize. You may also be able to randomize this game, this map. Let's actually do a little bit of healing. Now, if you're considering playing this on console, you should definitely know that this is one of those games that's developed for PC and not very well optimized for console, especially in terms of like UI. There's a lot of little shortcuts that are built into it, since the PC game does have controller support. So some things are built in, but it's not really meant to be played on a controller, I would say. I mean, because of the amount of inventory management, it makes it unrealistic that you wouldn't experience a lot of frustration playing this game on a joypad. But obviously, I'm 128 days in, so the game must be doing something right, right? Yes, atmosphere, despite like the limited presentation, is pretty good. There's a sense of loneliness. If anyone's ever played Dying Light, they might be able to relate just to the sense of like how often you really do just feel like a lonely person trying to survive in an empty world and hoping for anything, any kind of diversion really, but certainly any kind of...
Thank God, a customer. I thought you might be one of the dead.
Just anything good to happen, really, like something lucky or... shotgun. What kind of shotgun? All shotguns? Okay. Window trench, night vision goggles. Actually, I had some of those before. Never got to use them. Iron boots, auto shotgun, blueberry pie. Pistol. Well, rockets are very expensive. That's for sure. I have a crossbow, but I haven't used it much because I can't... I don't think I can craft it. Or something. Oh, there's a hazmat suit. Very expensive, though.
Y'all come back now.
Okay. So the hazmat suit would be for these areas, these red areas that, as you can see, I can't get into because they are very poisonous. So I don't even know what's around there at all. Spawned right next to it, so when I first started the game, I actually died quite a lot. Just wandering around. That's kind of annoying. Let's see. Let's see if I can get up to this care package. So occasionally planes fly over and drop random supply packages that you can loot. But there are areas where you can't get into. Like, I can't really climb this mountain after a certain point. I would have to dig my way up through it, which I don't really want to do. But let's see if I can get up to this spot. So what do you do in this game? So yeah, every 7 days you get attacked. But I mean, what's really... So this is also one of those games where, like, what is really the penalty for death? Because it's not hard to die in this game. So, I mean, really, if you die... Where is this thing? It's kind of like, so what? There's a trophy for climbing. This seems like a pretty high point. That's higher, I guess. Okay, let's just go for the box. And there's no real quest. I mean, like when I talked earlier about quests, is like sometimes you find a treasure map and you go look for it, which, you know, it's usually going to be probably in a part of the map that you haven't explored yet. So things are going to be new. It's going to be far. You have to have supplies for the trip and everything. But that's really it. You just get to an area and you eventually have to dig around for a box, and then you find your treasure. That's it. Oh, passed already? I did. So, you know, like, obviously there's like this box right around me and I can't see it because the game is kind of janky. There it is. And it has this, like, dark darkness to it. Like other people have commented on that, by the way. It's not just me. The PC version is noticeably sharper. Okay. I mean, there are things like you have a score, so like every time you respawn, it starts a counter, and every time you kill a zombie, you get points. And so, like, surviving really long yields you points, and there's like little bonuses, but nothing like you're not going to get like like a tank for surviving, for getting 1,000 points, right? There's a trophy for it, but whatever. The point is kind of like, just surviving. Learning the game takes up a lot of time, certainly. This is definitely one of those games where, like, the first time you play it is a tutorial so that you learn what not to do should you ever decide to play the game again. Which I sort of have because I started a brief playthrough on PC. So I guess the game is successful in that sense. But there's no end game, like there's no quest, like there's no what's that game? Generation Zero goes to some lengths to provide like NPCs, and you're like, oh, you were visiting, what was it? I think you lived on the island, but you meet NPCs and they're like, oh, save my father and stuff. Like, there's nothing like that here. I don't know if eventually the PC version will get to that, but it currently doesn't have anything like that either. It's just the survival part. And you can play it online with friends, so that's a big draw, obviously. Like, this is very much a very like a time passing game, like No Man's Sky, Stardew Valley style. Like, just get my resources, I can build my house. By the way, this is my house. So, I started near this cabin and have elected to not move away from it and have basically turned into this compound that only I could ever comprehend, surely. But there's also no real reason to, like, move camp unless I just want to explore a whole other side of the map, right? Plus, I've already invested all the time and resources into building this. But really, if I go somewhere else, I'll just get attacked there, wherever I am, and I would just die there, but I would also respawn there, and after a while that attack would be over, and I could just keep playing the game, and ostensibly rebuild a whole new base. So that's 7 Days to Die. I've cleared out a lot of stuff here. That's also why you don't see a lot of trees. So the pop isn't that bad. It's just that I cleared everything out. Like, you can see trees. That's the radioactive zone that I can't get to, so those trees haven't been cleared. But I've cleared everything else to build this. And, yeah. I just got attacked a couple days ago, so the attacks are pretty brutal and pretty fun. They would be funner if the game wasn't so janky, which we'll get to in a second. But they can be pretty fun. They're very brutal. Sometimes I survive, a lot of times I don't, for various reasons. But they're so brutal that like just cleaning up the day after takes usually a full day, and then sometimes you'll get attacked by another, just a random horde that next day, and that can also be pretty extensive. So the threat is real. During the day, the zombies don't run, but at night they do. So at night there is a significant, elevated threat. So the threat is not a pushover like in some games. But at times you can take long breaks from it. Like right now, like zombies don't really randomly appear. Well, I don't know really what causes them to randomly appear because they don't randomly appear near my base. I don't know if that's the virtue of something specific. Or maybe the fact that I've cleared everything out. I don't know. But if I start walking in any given direction, I will start encountering zombies, like, at random. They do seem to kind of hang around other structures, so maybe it's like other structures call them, but this one doesn't. I don't know. So obviously doing that during the day is not as risky as doing that at night, because at night they will chase you, and they can run just as fast as you. So if you run out of stamina or get hung up in a corner or something, they'll catch you. And once they start attacking you, that's when the janking in this game really comes to the forefront, because that's like any given attack from a zombie can stun you, which means you can't run anymore, regardless of whether you have stamina or not, which means that you start taking damage. If you get surrounded by a horde of zombies, you could be killed very quickly, just based on taking one hit that stuns you and keeps you from running. As long as you can run, you can mostly get away from zombies. Because obviously you're smarter than they are in terms of pathing. Once you can't run, that really turns the tables on you. So, and it just feels not unfair necessarily, but just kind of arbitrary that it comes down to that one mechanic, right? And it feels extra unfair on console because, or at least on a joypad, because, I did use a joypad when I played on PC as well. So you have a lot of the same shortcomings, but the UI does not allow you to do certain things quickly enough, and you end up dying sometimes. So, like, putting on your clothes is not as easy as... Let's see. So, like... Okay, well, let's go to my... And inventory things in general are a problem for this game, as we'll start to see. So let's go put away some of this inventory so that I can actually clear up enough space to mess with my clothing. Because that also makes a big difference. Basically, it's kind of a Souls-like thing where when you get killed, you drop all your stuff in a bag. You can then go retrieve that bag and get everything back. Unless it's destroyed in some kind of explosion, which we can get into later. If you are killed before you retrieve that bag, then that bag is gone, and everything in it is gone. So you lose all your stuff. Hence the Souls comparison. That can often be extremely unfair. Because even if you make it to your bag by the... Let's just get into it. So I don't know. It's weird because the game has some sort of memory of like where you have items placed, but it will never. At least on the console version, the PC version actually is a lot smarter about this. But on this console version, when you pick up your items, you will never be clothed. So it will never clothe you. You have to clothe yourself, okay? So you have to go into your inventory, okay? So I hit the touchpad on the controller, PS4 controller. Then I have to hit R1, R1 again, to go to this screen. Being on this screen allows me to hover over clothing items and quick send them to the body part that they belong to, right? Now, you would have to do this for every single item of clothing that you're not wearing when you have respawned. Doing that is time consuming enough that you can get killed, not to mention the jankiness of like sometimes you're not, I guess the game doesn't think you're quite hovering over an item and won't let you select it properly. The fact that you can't sometimes hear zombies that are right next to you because they're not making any sound, which seems pretty unrealistic and not very helpful, especially as you can see the very tight field of view area that we get. So, long story short, expect a lot of really frustrating, annoying deaths that don't feel like they're your fault. Okay. Oh, things like this. Like, this is one of those games that's just very annoying where, like, if you're pushing up against the block and you jump, sometimes it won't do a full jump, causing you to just get stuck for no reason. There's definitely a lot of like underfootedness in this game, if you know what that means, in first-person shooters. So, in short, just a lot of frustration with this game. At $3, oh, not to mention like constant slowdown, which can get really bad sometimes, to the point where like just turning around can make you very dizzy because of the field of view, and you will have just experienced so much frame drops that you just have no idea what you're even doing. Right now it's behaving itself. Okay, so do I hate this game? No. Obviously I've put a lot of time into it, although that is not exactly a measure of liking a game. There's kind of a Stockholm Syndrome aspect to that, by the way. But we don't need to get into that necessarily. I guess my point is, at first I was like, well, this game has a lot of issues, but it has a lot of potential, and I'm willing to overlook a lot of things if you show me something new, show me something original. And I would say that this is, even amongst like a pretty busy market of survival games that just range, you know, in terms of features and all sorts of things, this ends up being a pretty unique game that can be quite fun. It wasn't until about a week ago when I did buy that PC version and started looking into like patch notes and just comparing the games, obviously. But really looking at like the developers' communications, and this is a pretty small team, by the way. I think it's only about 40 people now. It's grown from, I think, about like 10, or even less. I think it was only like 5 guys, and now it's about 40. And you know, hey, power to you, man. You're making it in the games business. Power to you. But this game has been out for 10 years. The alpha version of this game has been out for 10 years. And by the way, the PC version of this game is still in early access. Yeah. Now, I do understand that they had some legal trouble that kept them from updating the console version. And again, they're a small team. But 10 years, dog. You know? It's quite a lot. So I'm like, well, I mean, are you ever going to have another game? Because that's what I was thinking, you know, like, well, this game is, you know, needs a lot of love and care just to be enjoyed. And maybe it will never really move past that phase. But I bet, man, they must have learned so much. I can tell they've learned so much because just going from this to the PC version, it's like night and day. But, I mean, 10 years, is it ever gonna show up, right? So what am I saying? Don't buy this game? I'm sure you can find it for a deep sale again on console. If you only play on console and you want something unique that you can play with your friends, this could still be a really good value on a deep sale, like $3. Come on, just make sure you have like a group of friends who want to play this and all learn it together and help each other out. I think you could have a really good time with it. On PC, it's obviously a much better game. So if you have the opportunity to play on PC and you're interested in it and are patient still, yeah, play it on PC. Even better if you find it on sale, like $5. That's pretty good. I actually, $5 was the base price. By mistake, I bought a version that comes with another key to the game on Steam. So I guess it's like you buy it for yourself and then you give the other one to your buddy and you're like, hey man, this won't cost you anything. Want to try it for a few hours? And hopefully they get hooked on it. I thought that was a pretty neat idea, actually. And I just gave that to a friend, but I don't think they're going to be playing it. Even. Because I had to be completely honest with them and be like, this game is really janky. So, no go. It is one of those games where it's fun to like, oh, like the first time you get a gun and the first time you learn how to build a gun, oh, it's like night and day. I feel like you're playing a totally different game, obviously. But again, it's so janky that the shooting is not really satisfying. That's another weird thing about this game is like the damage models are very strange. So like you don't really know how long it takes to kill a zombie. Like shotguns have a percentage chance to blow a zombie's head off, but it's not 100%. So you might shoot a zombie in the head twice with the shotgun and not blow their head off. Now that'll probably kill them. But not always. There's like variants that are stronger, and I've shot one of them 8 times, like in the head, chest, neck, with a shotgun, and they didn't die. So it's just all over the place. Depending on your level of patience, you'll know whether you can have fun with this game or not. If you're not a patient gamer that's like willing to overlook things and like kind of look at games as maybe as an artifact and be like, oh, this is a product of its time. Stay away from it. You are likely to not enjoy yourself very much. But it's interesting. It's one of those games that definitely I wish, like, oh, I wish it was better. I wish there was a better version of this specific game out there, but it's never going to happen because only these devs make this. So it's kind of a pipe dream. But an interesting game for sure. Certainly, I mean, it hooked me into doing nearly 20 weeks of it. A little bit of that was trophy hunting, but a lot of that was genuine curiosity about the game and seeing, what's out there. I ended up not exploring, actually, a lot of the map. Before I quit, I will probably go on a foray and try to see what's over here somewhere. But it's kind of academic because whatever's out there, it's just going to be whatever. Like there might be even a big town somewhere, but it would just be a series of like structures. I guess we can go up here. I can show you this smaller city. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go on a journey at night, and I can kind of show you what that's like. Or maybe I should just... Well, no, because there might be nothing. I'll show you this little town. And you can decide for yourself whether I should be interested in exploring more. There's weather effects, so I guess like right now it's cold. Let's see. I don't have my duster on. I have my cool weather jacket on. Let's put my warm weather jacket on. Now eventually you can come... There's no campfire here. This is just kind of a marker for me to be able to find my base. Again, I've cleared most of this out of trees to use the wood. Getting your bearings, it's not that hard, but like learning to use a map is kind of a challenge in and of itself. So that's kind of a thing. And the second playthrough, I mean, I would have to go to the new map because even having just explored this chunk of this map, I'd be like, well, if I spawn anywhere close to this area again, I mean, that's like, I'm not going to want to hang around here anymore. But yeah, I mean, I did use the base map on my PC playthrough, by the way, and I did eventually get to an area where I was like, oh, okay, I do recognize this, and I realized that if I keep going in this area, or in this direction, I'll get to this part of the map. But that's not even that much of an issue because on PC the game is a lot more rich. So there's just more to do in general. But anyway... So you can see it's about 4:30 in the morning. I believe this is a 30-minute clock, or something like that. 30-minute clock. At 6 a.m., it's officially daytime until 22 or 8 p.m. No, 10 p.m. So this is another like little way station. I have a campfire in case I need to warm up. For now, the coat was enough. There's some music, so atmosphere can be kind of cool. I don't know where the devs are from exactly, but I think like Eastern European sounds about right. So this is a small city or town, right? So there's houses. There's a some kind of warehouse or school, a shop. Let's not tempt fate just yet. That's, yeah, school. This is more like a warehouse or like a grocery store. But as you can see, they're not really like, you know, this isn't Novigrad from Witcher 3. Like, this is pretty basic. I guess this is more like a factory. And the scale is a little, it's kind of a Bethesda scale where, you know, this car is, it's the only car in the parking lot, it's huge. You know, buildings feel kind of small, maybe. It's more like the hint of a city than a city proper, or even a small town. DayZ is a little bit better with its scale as far as like, okay, this looks like it could be like the beginnings of the outside of a village, you know, and the towns are pretty industrial and small there. This is meant to represent like an entire compact city, you know. But there's no angles or curves, it's all just a grid. So I imagine if I get to those blank parts of the map, I would find something very much like this. I don't think I'm going to get to something that's going to be like, oh wow, this one really feels, you know, get a little music to signal dawn. You know, I don't think I'm going to get to something really impressive. And at this point, like, getting kind of tired of the cycle of every 7 days I get attacked, so I have to, you know, constantly rebuild things. That keeps me from really exploring more. And there's no actual point to exploration. I'm getting to the point where I'm really winding down with this game. I got to this point before with it, but that was also because, like, I played this right before Elden Ring came out. So I was like, I'm not going to be distracted by this when, you know, one of my most all-time anticipated games is coming out. So I put it down, but I kept the save. I reinstalled it recently and have been fooling around with it. I've had a lot of free time, so I've had chances to spend long stretches with it. But it's hard to get into a groove because the jankiness, the slowdown, always kind of rear their heads. The lack of like draw distance, the unfairness of combat. You know, like sometimes you can be doing really well for a long time and like get a bunch of weapons and resources together, and then you just lose it in a really stupid way. And then you're like, well, I can go recover it. It shouldn't be that hard. And then you die again in a really stupid way, and you're like, what the hell is it even all for, you know? But they got a lot of my time, so I may be able to look at playtime. We'll see in a minute. I think I'll quit out here in a second. Interesting game for sure. I've definitely spent a lot of time thinking about it, so it's earned some space, some headspace for me, right? Hard to recommend. I think you know yourself as a gamer. If you're a patient gamer, you know if you should give this a shot or not. if you find it on a deep sail, obviously it's going to hurt less. But even on a deep sail, just because of the way this game manages your time, it's interesting. I would definitely say, like, maybe start a playthrough that you don't commit too much to, and then fool around with some settings maybe that are more comfortable. And this can be quite a cozy game. Tell me what you think if you played it. Let's go to the main menu and see if I can look at my playtime. I mean, 129 days, I guess 30 minutes each. We could do the math. Survival MP. No, it doesn't tell me my playtime. Okay, I'm just gonna do that math. Real quick. 129 times 30 is 64 hours of playtime. 64 and a half hours of playtime, which actually sounds a little low. Because that is strictly the time clock. Now I have the other playthrough, which I probably spent, I don't know, maybe 10 hours on. A couple of times that I've joined other servers here just to kind of fool around. But I guess the time that you spend, I don't know, and anticipating joining the game too, maybe I would count that. It feels longer. 64 doesn't sound that long. It feels like I've put more time into it. Yeah, I guess tell me what you think. My heart is still divided. I'm glad that I tried the game. I'm glad I didn't pay full price either time, because the base price for the game is still surprisingly high on both platforms. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Let's do this. Let's compare it to DayZ. I also played the shit out of DayZ and have lots of issues with that game. I would say that this is more welcoming because it's like the core loop of the game is more understandable and easy to grasp. DayZ, especially on console, and you know, if you're playing by yourself, is very unforgiving. Yeah, that game is brutal. So this is definitely more user-friendly, but you know, DayZ has, I guess I would say, more cohesion. It's also a very janky game, but it's not like, you know, it's not like dropping frames constantly, or like the presentation is a little bit better, and the scale is a little bit more ambitious in that game. It's hard to really say one comes out on top. I would say this one is probably more generally fun to play. DayZ is so brutal. Yeah, but I don't know, if you've played both, definitely bring that up as well. Alright, tell me what you think. Bye.